Hello and welcome back to The Art of Reflection. This episode is a little closer to the heart. It's for anyone who's ever created something, said something, offered something vulnerable or meaningful, and felt like the response was silence, or worse, discouragement. If you've ever asked yourself, why am I doing this if no one cares, this episode is for you. We're exploring the idea of audience, but not in a marketing sense, not in the get more views and grow your platform kind of way. This is deeper. This is about the human desire to be heard, really heard. It's about the difference between popularity and connection, about what it means to speak honestly even if only one person is listening. Maybe even especially if only one person is listening. Let's start with the obvious pressure we all feel. Bigger means better. More followers, more likes, more applause. The algorithm says if you're not growing, you're failing. And most of us internalize that. We measure our worth by our reach. But here's something worth sitting with. Just because something spreads doesn't mean it resonates. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's meaningful. Viral moments are often hollow. Deep truths rarely trend. It's easy to forget that in a world that constantly asks us to perform. Some of the most impactful things in our lives were never loud. A late-night conversation that shifted your perspective. A book you picked up randomly and never stopped thinking about. A quiet comment someone left under your post that made you feel understood. Real connection rarely announces itself, but it stays with you, it shapes you, and often it comes in small doses, not in the echo of the masses, but in the depth of one meaningful exchange. So why are we so obsessed with speaking to crowds? This is the question at the center of it all. Who is your real audience? Not the one you imagine when you're trying to be liked, not the demographic target group, but the one you actually care about reaching. Maybe it's your younger self, the one who was confused, hurt, and searching. Maybe it's someone who feels as lost now as you once did. Maybe it's someone you'll never meet, someone who will stumble across your words when they need them the most. And maybe, sometimes, it's just you. Speaking to understand, to heal, to articulate something you've never quite said out loud before. And that's valid too. So let's talk about relevance. There's a brutal kind of silence that comes when you share something raw, and no one reacts. Maybe you posted a song you spent weeks writing, or a poem you wrote at 3 a.m. shaking with emotion, or just a thought, honest and unpolished. And nothing. No likes, no comments, just the soft, blank glow of a screen that doesn't care. And then you hear it from the algorithm, from the world, sometimes even from someone close to you. Why do you keep doing this? No one cares. And that cuts deeper than silence. It makes you question if you're out of touch, delusional, repeating yourself into a void. But here's what I want to say, especially if you've ever heard that voice lately, the one that says, stop. You're not irrelevant, you're just ahead of your time. Or are you speaking a truth people aren't ready to face? Or maybe, just maybe, you're speaking in a language only a few people know how to hear. And those people, they matter. Even if it's only one, even if they haven't found you yet. Relevance isn't how many people are looking at you. It's how true your voice feels when you use it. It's the fact that you dared to speak at all. Truth doesn't always get instant feedback. Sometimes the most meaningful things need time to land. Sometimes they don't echo back, not because they weren't heard, but because they were felt too deeply for words. So if your message is real, it doesn't expire. It might take days or years, but someone, someday, might sit in their room, press play, or read your words and think, oh, that's exactly how I feel, I just didn't know how to say it. And in that moment, you'll matter more than 1,000 trending voices ever could. When you start creating with the audience in mind, and I mean the mass audience, something changes. You become more cautious. You say things that are safer, broader, less personal. You stop risking honesty for the sake of being liked. That's when you lose your voice, because it's no longer you speaking. It's a version of you designed for approval. But here's the thing. Connection doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from being real with a few. Imagine this. You're on a stage, speaking truth. The auditorium is empty, except for one person. One single person who is fully present, listening, nodding, eyes locked in. Would that be enough? Would you still speak with care, with intention? If the answer is yes, then you've found your why, your real reason for speaking. Not for applause, not for scale, but for truth. For the moment when something lands in someone else's soul and makes them feel less alone. Here's a perspective shift. When you speak honestly and your audience doesn't grow fast, you're not failing, you're just filtering. You're building slowly, but you're building right. You're finding the people who actually care, not just the ones who click, but the ones who stay. That kind of audience takes longer to build, but it's stronger, deeper, more loyal, and most of all, more human. Let's be honest, sometimes no one replies, no one comments, no one likes, and feels like no one's listening. That hurts. There's no poetic way to spin that. But silence doesn't always mean absence. Sometimes people hear you and don't know what to say. Sometimes they're processing. Sometimes your words land so deeply that they change something. Quietly, invisibly. And if nothing else, you were brave enough to speak. That matters. It's better to speak to 5 people who truly get you than to 5,000 who don't care. One real listener can remind you why you started. One thoughtful message can mean more than 100 likes. One person saying, "I needed this," can make all the silence worth it. Don't underestimate the power of reaching the right people. So, who are you really speaking to? What do you really want to say? Would you still say it if it didn't go viral, if it didn't get shared, if it just reached one person? If the answer is yes, keep going. Your words matter, even if they echo in quiet places. Sometimes the most important things we say are the ones that take the longest to be heard. Thank you for listening. I hope this helped you feel seen, or at least a little less alone in silence. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reflecting, and stay curious.